Dear delegates, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to the third edition of the world's largest FinTech Fest, Global FinTech Fest 2022. It's organized by the National Payments Corporation of India, Payments Council of India, and FinTech Convergence Council. This edition of the fest is supported by Department of Economic Affairs, RBI, and IFSCA. My name is Amla Agarwal and I'm your host for this session. Dear attendees, the topic of this knowledge sharing session is FinTech Landscape Indonesia. And we have a very knowledgeable person joining us today virtually. So we have Mr. Triyono Gani, Executive Director, Digital Finance Innovation Group, OJK. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Triyono Gani, who is joining us virtually directly from Indonesia. Hello, sir. Welcome to the session.
Hi, thank you so very much for inviting me.
So, sir, we have
Okay,
been waiting for you eagerly. So, let's get started with the session.
all right, okay. Thank you so very much for inviting me to join this very uh, wonderful session. And I think I would like to congratulate the organizer for very sophisticated and also I believe this will be a very vibrant atmosphere to discuss everything about fintech. And I also heard that this would be the largest event in the world. I guess I would also would like to congratulate that as well. Okay, let me start with some information regarding the Indonesian financial landscape. And I have some presentation to show, and I would then follow the slides. But allow me to speak a little bit fast because I was already warned that the previous session comes a little bit late. So I would then be very speed up in delivering the presentation. But definitely, if you need more elaboration or questions, you can then uh, send the queries to our institution, and we would be very glad to answer all the questions and to clarify all the necessary information. Okay, let me start by talking about the regulatory framework in Indonesia. Next, please. Okay. Um, Next slide. So maybe I would also share that the Indonesian and also India um, not demographical profile would be almost similar. But if we are talking about number of population, probably India is a lot larger than Indonesia. But if we are talking about the demographic profile, whereby the unbankable people still remain a very large number, and also sit in a very bottom of the pyramid. So the demographical diagram would be in a pyramid shape. So all the unbankable people will be then stay at the bottom of the pyramid. I believe this would also relevant to India situation, and that's why I would like to also share the um, some common situation, if I may say, which are probably almost the same and similar between Indonesia and also India. Um, we uh, accounted the innovation in our regulatory framework for the financial sector in 2018. This would be probably a little bit late comparing to some advanced country. Uh, probably in India as well, because if we compare with China, I think they have already adopted the innovation um, framework eh, probably in the early of 2010, as early as 2010. But in Indonesia, we just realized that we need to cater the innovation in 2018. So we found at that time, back in 2018 and 17, probably on 16 even, because we issued the regulation of P2P lending in 2016, we realized that there was something new coming into the market. Um, and the shape of this incoming business model almost different from time to time. And at that time, in 2016, the P2P lending has been dominating the innovation use case that come into our market. That's why we issued the regulation of P2P lending in 2016. We should distinguish between what is the automation and also what is the innovation, because we used to have automation in our financial sector. The financial institution keep issuing some new way of doing something, but it is only in terms of automation. So migrating from the traditional or the manual process into more digitalized process, but still there is no breakthrough. But if we see from this diagram, we can see that there is a new business model, not only the renewal but the reinvention. So that's why we come up into new idea to issue new regulation, which will be the umbrella of regulation under the notion of innovation. So this is very important, since we cannot define what will be or what we are going to be happening in the market. The new proposal keep coming to my office, and then we always do some learning process to define what kind of use case that is probably relevant to our market, because otherwise we are going to reject the proposal. So I think this is again very big challenges for us in the innovation office, because we should define whether this innovation would be responsible enough, if I may say, because we use the terminology of responsible innovation for all acceptable innovation that come into market. So I think this is very tough job, definitely, to define whether this particular innovation could be accepted in our market or not. And there are certainly some examples that I cannot share at this moment about how the rejection process that we have made according to the particular law and regulation, or maybe this intact regulations. Because if we find that some proposal is not really aligned with the regulation, doesn't comply with the regulation, so we may reject it. So I think it is a very uh, a simple and straightforward approach, but still we are maintaining the light touch and safe harbor. So we balance the regulation between keeping the innovation, but still maintaining the stability of the financial sector. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the ecosystem of authorities that are uh, overseeing uh, the field of innovations, because we also know that the innovation doesn't only happen in financial sector, but also happening in some other sector as well. OJK is the Financial Service Authority, so we are overseeing the whole financial sector. But beside our mandate, definitely we have also Indonesia also has also the central bank, the Bank Indonesia. So I think they are overseeing the finance, the payment system sector. So we can divide if we see the whole financial sector would be divided into payment system and non-finance payment system. So under the payment system would be that fall under the Bank Indonesia supervision, and other than that would be that fall under the OJK supervision. And another probably dimension of the financial sector, for example, the crypto assets. This is very interesting since the central bank doesn't want to touch that issue, and as well as the OJK. So our Ministry of Commerce, in this case, the BAPEPT, they are holding the market of cryptocurrency, and they are issuing the regulation specifically talking about crypto asset as the crypto as the commodity. So I think this is under the commodity market regulation. And beside overseeing the market of cryptocurrency, the Ministry of Commerce also overseeing the e-commerce practices. In this case, um, the regular trading between customer and also all the vendors. And beside that, we can see a very huge portion as well of the social crowdfunding. And this is very different event or the different game because the social crowdfunding will be fall under the Ministry of welfare. I think this is very interesting, and the number of crowdfunding itself is already quite significant. And other than that, I think we are talking about a tax platform and also digital cooperative will be fall under different government institution as well. Next. So the issue of multi-regulators like this would be that the coordination. So this is very hard task to do, but we are trying our best to perform the communication as smooth as possible amongst the governmental bodies. In this slide, I'm talking about the points that we should consider in drafting the regulation for fintech supervision. So we are still keeping the highest principles of light touch and safe harbor. This is the direction from our president, Mr. Jokowi. And then we are also inserting the regulatory framework in the regulations, definitely. And then we also provide or establish the fintech center. This is the innovation hub under the regulation. This is the mandate for us, and this is the place where I always be because this is the place where I'm receiving the proposal from the market. We also hold regulatory sandbox under this facility. So the number 4 would be regulatory sandbox, as I mentioned. So we adopt this system. Maybe we are copying the FCA system, but not 100% similar. But the principle will be almost the same, and we have some more adjustments that we are applying to the system, and certainly would be then according to the organization values and also the capabilities and capacity that we have in OJK. So we adjust the concept, but still keep maintaining the principles of opening up to the market. And then the market conduct supervision model, this is very important because it is very impossible if we would apply the light touch and safe harbor principles, but we don't adopt the market conduct. I think this is very impossible. That's why we applied this market conduct, whereby we conduct a very close relation between the authority and also the association, the business association, in this case, the fintech association. And we regard this fintech association as our arm's length operation in terms of supervision of fintech, and we agreed on certain principles, code of conduct with all the use cases that uh, under the members of the association, and we do a joint supervision for the application of code of conduct and code of ethics. Once we find that there is a breach in code of conduct or code of ethics, we then have a joint evaluation, and then we should imply certain sanctions to the member of the association. In this case, we could also revoke the licensing process in OJK. So I think this is a kind of mirroring process between what we are doing with the association activities. And then for the sixth point, you can see the collaboration. I don't have to mention this. We have already elaborated a little bit on that. And finally, we try to impose or have a very strong effort in applying the protection, customer protection. This is very important. So I already mentioned about the responsible innovation principles, one of which would be then try to strengthen the application of the customer protection. This is very important. And you can see from the right hand side of the slide, we have issued several regulations on the fintech related use cases, starting with banking, and also we also have P2P lending and securities crowdfunding as well. But the umbrella regulation, as I mentioned, we are talking about the regulation number 13 on the digital financial innovation. Next, please. Okay, this is the picture where we can see the connection between the relation between OJK and also the association. As I mentioned before, that association is very important partner to us in conducting the innovation, supervision in innovation. So still the ultimate status or the ultimate responsibility still under OJK main mandate, but in terms of operational, we can then use association to enhance and also increase the effectiveness of supervision in day-to-day activities. So we go hand in hand with association to supervise all the members, and there are a lot of challenges definitely, but I think this is still to us very best setting in conducting the supervision for fintech and also other form or of innovation in financial sector. Next. We have also the roadmap to have a long-term vision for developing fintech in mid also long range of activities and also planning. We have a very long-term vision to have a more digitalized financial sector. This is a very long-term goal, but we do hope that in performing this digitalized financial sector, we are still maintaining at least four factors. This is the most important factor that we should maintain. The first is talking about the stability. So the system should be still stable and also contributive. You can also see that the new use case that come into our sandbox should still give a very optimal contribution to the economy. In this case, financing or facilitating the MSME, for example. And then the inclusiveness is also very important. We have a very ambitious target for the inclusion level. And also the last point would be the sustainability. Sustainability is very important because at the time when we drafted the roadmap, we still regard that and also consider that this new uh, business model or use cases that come into our uh, sandbox, we still. Uh, I'm not saying there were some doubt, but we still have a wait and see strategy, probably, if I may say. So we want all the uh, business model would be then very last, very long, not only for short-term period of activities, because we should see whether this would be then accepted by the market and also give a very optimum contribution to the economy. In this case, we also regard that as a sustainable business concept. But if we don't really see that there is a sustainable business concept, we should then think about some other strategies. Other than that, I think if we talk about the level of inclusion generated by the digital activities, they will also create significant impact to the public, not only for the green economy, but also support the SDGs. So I think this is very important issues that you should address upon. And then we believe that to give a very optimum benefit to the economy, so they should be, give a very optimum contribution as well to to the society. So in this case, fulfill all the SDGs requirements. And we have some parameters that we should uh, consider. I can mention several of them. For example, the customer data regulation, government financing, and also digital ecosystem. Maybe since the time is very limited, I would say that the ecosystem is very important. So the principle of ecosystem-based strategy would still be the main theme of the regulation issued by OJK. In our regulation, we should consider the ecosystem development. Otherwise, I think we could not really develop the innovation accordingly. So talking about collaboration, talent, and also infrastructure, I think this is very uh, delicate issues as well because everybody knows that talent is very scarce in every single jurisdiction, not only in Indonesia, but in every country because the speed of learning, so the needs of the market would be very different, and the educational institution could not really supply the necessary human resources with adequate capability to the public. So I think those are the issues that we have already uh, encountered in our financial sector. So the keys of this roadmap would be that the privacy, the privacy, customer protection, and protect and subtext. So I think this is very important, and we also see as the financial authorities the need for us to uh, transform ourselves because we have already seen some new cases coming into our market and new technology as well that we can adopt in our supervisory system. So we should also consider the subtech as our main initiative currently for this upcoming years. I guess it would be last until 3 or 5 years in I think in the future. So I think subtech will be our main team. Now we are going to transform from the traditional way to supervise into more advanced way to supervise. For example, we are going to apply artificial intelligence and also some other key technologies as data mining, text mining, and some other things to increase our effectiveness of supervision. Because definitely, number of uh, data that come into our financial sector is also increased more than tenfold, I guess. So it is very impossible if we still keep maintaining the old-fashioned way to supervise, not relying upon the application of new technology such as the big data or something like that. So I think this is very important. Next, Fintech in Indonesia. Next, please. I believe that I could not really get through all the slides because the time is already approaching to the end of the session, probably. But this is the number of fintech that coming into our uh, supervisory system. So you can see that from the peer-to-peer lending side, there are like 102 uh, license that has been issued by OJK, and the 95 of them is conventional, and 7 would be the Sharia peer-to-peer lending. And you can see the number of lender is also increasing, uh, 38.36% year-on-year growth. I think this is quite enormous growth. And also the borrower can also increasing at 33.23%. This is also very amazing growth. And from the lending distribution as well, you can see that the loan accumulation has been reached 362 trillion rupiah, and then the growth would be year on year on 86.61%. So I think this is quite fast and exploding growth. If we don't really, catching up the market with all the prudential principles, definitely it will be very, very dangerous to our financial sector. But still, we cannot really, since this number is still relatively small to the whole uh, GDP or the whole size of financial sector, maybe it's accounted for around, I don't know, 5 to less than 10%. So we still consider that this is still uh, very infant industry, but we have to still um, uh, put an eye on the growth of the market, because they are going to be very big in a very short future. Next, please. Okay, this is how we then see the crowdfunding, securities crowdfunding. Securities crowdfunding is very, very important and very interesting, because uh, we used to have equity crowdfunding regulation, but the biggest problem of MSME is that they don't sell the equity, because they don't even have legal institutional setup as well. So they are very, you know, informal business. They are personal or productive individual, so they don't have legal status at all. So I think that's the issue of why we then expand the regulation of equity crowdfunding into securities crowdfunding, because security can be issued by everyone, by every single person. So we don't really require very established legal status first, but we can assure that the process of securities crowdfunding still follow the certain regulation that can be verified by the platform, so that all the parties or the investors coming into the securities crowdfunding market would be very well informed and make sure that there is a certain or exact business, or there is less fraud risk in this case, because it's already verified by the platform. But I think, again, I would like to reiterate that the security crowdfunding is expansion from the previous concept of equity crowdfunding. I think only several countries or jurisdictions that adopt this approach, and one of which is Indonesia. And hopefully, this could be working very well, because I think the number of extended investment that has been generated by the security funding has reached quite a big number as well as, although it's just still under the 1 trillion rupiah, but it's quite a big number now. I think hopefully it will also grow as fast as the P2P lending. Next, please. Okay, next, please. Okay, this is other use cases that are still in the regulatory sandbox. We can see 88 the digital financial innovations uh, use case in our regulated sandbox, 81 convention and 7 Sharia. We divided into 15 clusters, and we also mentioning about 4 association that relates to that relates to this digital financial innovation. In our portfolio, we have aggregator, financial planner, tech, credit scoring, KYC, and then insurtech. We have property management and um, wealth tech as well. So I believe that we are still growing and we are still receiving new proposals, and we are going to consider all the proposals very well. I think.
Great. Mr. Triyono,
Sure.
I
Yes.
have rejoined because I see that the presentation looks super informative, and I
All
can
right.
see that you are like you have such great knowledge, and you're just sharing with our attendees.
Thank you so very
That's
much.
fantastic. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing
Very
such
welcome. I hope this also
knowledgeable
useful for
presentation with our audience and attendees.
the time.
And
Thank you so very much. Have a good, great day then.
we have
Okay.
to close this
Thank you
session
so
right
very much.
now. Thank you
Okay.
once again.
Thank you. Very welcome. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we close this session, and we would like to thank our partners, team partner WhatsApp, co powered by Amazon Pay, spend management partner Encash, in association with Perfumes, payments partner Cash Free Payments, CEO's Dinner partner HSBC, platinum partner Google Pay, Phone Pay, Visa, M2P Fintech, MasterCard, Falcon, registration partner NTT Data Payment Services. Thank you very much for the session. See you again in the next one.